Hi everyone, welcome back to Daily Freddo. So it's been a week since the international premiere of The Little Mermaid and oh what a week it's been. Apparently, when you release a big movie made for kids, a bunch of creeps come out of the woodwork, demanding more kink in it. It's true. A review in New York Times stated that the Little Mermaid movie didn't have enough kink in it. But before I tell you more about it, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications to never miss a new episode of Daily Freddo. So let's look at this real review from New York Times. The new live-action Little Mermaid is everything nobody should want in a movie. Beautiful and defensive, yet desperate for approval. It reeks of obligation and noble intentions. Joy, fun, mystery, risk, flavor, kink, they're missing. The movie is saying, we tried not to offend, appall, challenge, imagine. A crab croons, a gull raps, a sea witch swells to stay puffed proportions. This is not supposed to be a serious event, but it feels made in anticipation of being taken too seriously. Now you can't even laugh at it. We can certainly not laugh at this review because, oh my god. Words movie for children and kink should never be found in the same sentence, okay? It's disgusting. Other media, of course, slammed New York Times for those remarks. Here is an example. New York Times ripped for peace-lamenting lack of kink in New Little Mermaid. The left sexualizes kids. A kink can refer to a person's unusual sexual preference, according to Webster's dictionary. As someone who lives in Cyprus, where we still have a moral compass, reading those types of things in reputable media really strikes as if sexualization of kids out there was becoming normal and accepted. And I know my point of view is not unique here. I see many people rebelling against it, thank God. Users took to Twitter. The New York Times just put up a review of The Little Mermaid where the review complains that kink was missing from the film. The definition of kink: person's unusual sexual preferences. Same media denies the left sexualizes kids. The reviewer needs his hard drives reviewed. I agree with that. Next comment: we don't need romance in children's movies. We don't. And then the lack of kink? It's a children's movie for f***'s sake, sicko. You sick sicko! But it also feels like the line is blurred now and people are being desensitized to what's going on. I accidentally came across this tweet and couldn't believe this person was actually saying it publicly, not seeing anything wrong with it. There's a lot of dunking on that New York Times review of The Little Mermaid for complaining about lack of kink, but I'm actually sort of sympathetic to the notion. Blech. Not kink, that's terribly imprecise, but romance in children's movies has become more jokey and sanitized and sterile. I swear to God. Why would we want any other type of romance in a kid's movie? I wasn't the only one who was disgusted by this tweet, so people commented. The romance, if any, in movie targeted to kids would be very vanilla, by intention. It's sort of like reading the room. Weird that you don't know that, I agree. And then we have another user, Matt, you can't possibly be a parent. At least I hope not. Wow, just wow. Perhaps watch Little Mermaid before commenting. The mermaid Ariel and the Prince Eric are in love. Did you need them to engage in kinky sex in order for this movie to meet your expectations? Sad. And another comment: sounds like the FBI needs to review your hard drive too. Come on, people, investigate these people. I'm very happy to see people's horrified reactions to this guy's tweet. That gives me hope that not everyone has gone insane. But the fact that a statement like that can be publicly posted on Twitter without any fear of consequences tells me that there is a huge movement to desensitize society to sexualization of kids. The Little Mermaid creators were so diligent to make the movie as kids-friendly as possible, removing problematic song lyrics, for example, and then we have some perverts come out left and right demanding more kink and unsanitized romance in kids' movies. Disgusting. But of course, this is not the end of The Little Mermaid's controversies. As you know, I did go to see the movie. There were things I liked, things I didn't like. And this is sort of the final result for this remake. It didn't totally tank, but it was just meh. Not bad. Not amazing. The talks about Ariel's casting choice are dying off while the new character is now in the spotlight. Ursula, played by Melissa McCarthy. Of course, there is a debate if Ursula was portrayed as scary enough, if the character design did a good job, etc. But the newest, stupidest backlash comes for the makeup artist. The article reads: Peter King, the makeup artist behind Ursula's look in The Little Mermaid, is pushing back on the backlash he has gotten. King has been under heavy scrutiny from the LGBTQ community over the makeup Melissa McCarthy sports in the live-action film, directed by Rob Marshall. With Ursula being inspired by drag queen Divine, some believe that it should have been someone in the queer community doing the makeup or giving life to the sea witch. Seriously? Come on, this must be a joke. I will not believe in a million years this is a real thing that people complain about. So if a makeup in the movie was inspired by, I don't know, a peacock colored feathers, the peacock has to do the makeup? There is a lot of other valid reasons you could not like someone's work as a makeup artist, but not being gay shouldn't be on the list. Here is a short video of Melissa McCarthy getting her makeup done as Ursula. So let's watch it together.
Good morning! Hi there!
She's cute, I love her.
Now I start getting really subtle.
And it begins. That's better.
Well, those were two different eyebrows that don't belong on the same face. I have seen better makeup work in my life, to be totally fair. But the article continues. When asked about the controversy around McCarthy's look as Ursula, King told Insider in an interview, "I find that very offensive. Why can't I do as good a job as a queer makeup artist? That's ridiculous. That's trying to claim it, and that's fine. If that's what they want to do, but don't put people down because they're not what they want it to be." It will take me a minute to decode what he said at the end there. You wanna bet this will be used to compare the race swapping thing? Someone will come out and say, well, if you want a true aerial representation of white redhead person, then we want a true queer representation and only an LGBTQ members doing the drag makeup, or even playing Ursula. Nothing sounds too ridiculous anymore. Some users commented, "Gosh, I am wondering why people are starting to push back against these folks. It couldn't be because they're narcissists and can only think about themselves and their wants, could it? It couldn't be because they're intolerant to anyone who thinks different from them, could it?" And another user says, "So people are really catching flack for not being gay now. This country is a complete joke." And another comment, "The world isn't flat or round. It's f***ed." Users also on Reddit had something to say. This one says, "It's offensive because the makeup artist isn't gay." Yeah, that's a new one, not gonna lie. Another one, "People have way too much f***ing time on their hands." Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, despite the racial, LGBTQ and kink controversies, which I can only assume were manufactured to bring more attention to the movie, the box office of the remake is not impressive at all. It totally flopped in China, for example, with a poor $2.5 million opening weekend. Variety magazine wrote, "Discussion of The Little Mermaid, in which actor and singer Halle Bailey portrays the title role, again raised the question about how willing Chinese audiences are to watch films with prominent black characters. This has previously been debated around the Black Panther titles and Star Wars promotional materials." Yeah, that's a separate episode. I'm not going to defend anything here. But let's look at the international box office in general. It looks like The Little Mermaid has found her voice, domestically at least. Disney's latest live-action redux of one of its most iconic properties has made quite the splash at the domestic box office, bringing in a respectable $95.5 million. However, the film's international showing is another story. The Little Mermaid brought in $68.3 million at the international box office, a paltry debut for a Disney property, bringing the movie's global total to $163.8 million for its first weekend. Now, if you don't usually follow movie releases and their financial performance, this is not so good. There was definitely a higher expectation when it comes to those numbers. For example, if the budget of the movie was $200 million, we can probably calculate another $200 million on top for the marketing, most probably. So for The Little Mermaid to break even, they would need at least $400 to $450 million. Now, The Little Mermaid was definitely wasn't the worst movie in the history of cinema. However, much shittier movies made more money on their opening weekend. This is not the type of movie that wouldn't meet the targets normally. Here are a few comments from our side of the world, just to give you some perspective. Εγώ πλέον ακούω Disney και αποφεύγω. Τα τελευταία 15 χρόνια μηδέν. When I hear Disney, I'm leaving. The last 15 years, zero. The Little Mermaid by DC μπορεί να ετοιμάζουν κανένα crossover με Aquaman. Yeah, maybe we'll get a crossover with Aquaman, who knows? All in all, once again, one controversy reveals another, and it's media feast. I have my own reservations when it comes to the movie, which I already discussed in my first video about The Little Mermaid. If you haven't seen it, I'm linking it right here. But definitely criticizing the makeup artist for not being gay enough or complaining that there was not enough kink in the freaking kids movie, those are things we did not expect to hear. As always, I am super curious to hear what you guys think about all this, so let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos from me, I'd recommend watching those two next. And of course, click right here to subscribe to my channel to never miss new episode of Daily Freddo. That's all for today. Have a good one.